All right, ladies and gentlemen, all sorts of technical issues going on before the stream today, but we're going to make our best of it. We're going to make the best of it here. My name is Brett. It is episode 802 of Pop Culture Crisis. I am here with my co-host. Introduce yourself, please.
Hello, crisis actors. It's Mary. Happy Friday. And we are, in fact, battling some tech issues here, but I think that the real reason is they don't want us to be able to speak our thoughts on the Snow White premiere.
I have a sneaking suspicion that Bob Iger and Rachel Zegler are involved.
It's some funny business from Disney. They don't want us to talk about the fact that Snow White is a communist propaganda movie. Yeah. That's what they are trying to stop us from revealing to you.
That
so like the video.
Like the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new here and you also think that Disney are a bunch of communists. So we got a bunch of stuff to get into today, but before we get started, hit the like button on this video and subscribe to the channel if you are new here and you have not subscribed here yet already. That is the best way that you can help this channel grow, is to subscribe to the channel. If you are not, turn on all the notifications, which is one thing I always forget to tell you to do. I think only 4% of the people that are subscribed to this channel are subscribed for all notifications. And remember that liking the video, it tells the algorithm that you like this content and you want to see more of it. So you should go ahead and hit the like button on this video. So what are we getting into today? First things first, we are going to be giving you guys our full review of Snow White. Spoilers will be involved. I don't even really know how to do a non-spoiler review of a movie, if I'm being completely honest.
We do expect reparations in the Superchats, by the way.
Yes, it's time for you guys to pay up because we went and did this.
On account of our suffering, what we do for you people, it's unimaginable. And I know that we deserve that. We deserve reparations.
To be fair, I put a tweet out last night. I was like, it wasn't for me, but I'm also not a 10-year-old girl, so...
You could say that about literally anything.
I know. So we're going to talk about Snow White. We're going to go fairly in-depth onto it. So again, I'm going to give another spoiler alert right before we start this topic, but just forewarned is forearmed. We will be talking spoilers. We're also going to talk about Bella Ramsey, who was found to be autistic when she was diagnosed by somebody on the set of the last, at the club. If a guy comes up and tries to dance with, at the club. If a guy comes up and tries to dance with you, women are like, oh my God, he's so creepy. But that's because it's a guy who looks like me. But if it's a guy who looks like a Chad, then it's okay.
Yeah, I think it depends on whether Justin is into it at the end of the day. So I guess that remains to be seen.
So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about Meghan Markle. She just literally can't do anything right. This poor lady. This poor lady. She's in trouble over waffles.
She's lying about waffles, though. Like, she brought this on herself.
You ain't got to lie, Sussex. You ain't got to lie. So we're going to talk about that. We got a bunch of other stuff. If you're ready, Mary, we can just get going. You ready?
Yeah, I think I'm ready.
All right. I'm going to make sure that we've got all the windows open as much as we
Looks
can
like the
properly.
stream is working and everything's fine.
20 there from Mike Smith before we get started.
Yes. We're going to take a pause on the Super Chats, I assume, while we're in the
middle. Yes, while we're doing Snow White, we'll take a pause, but read Mike's.
Mike Smith said, is anyone here really worried about spoilers for Snow White? No.
Well, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, it has been much anticipated to talk about this film. This is the Disney adaptation of Snow White, starring Rachel Zegler. It has been a lightning rod over the last 2 years, all the way 3 years, really, if we go all the way back to D23. And in this movie, I want to say, so the king and the queen, Snow White's parents, they rule the kingdom with kindness and love. I don't know how you rule a kingdom with kindness and love, but they do. When the mother dies, the queen dies, and then the king meets the evil queen, played by Gal Gadot, wherein she is then banished by the evil queen after she meets her lovable mid, Jonathan, who gets locked up by the evil queen. She goes out to the woods, she meets the dwarves and the bandits, then they stage a communist coup. Yeah. That's the movie.
Yeah, well, that's the whole point, right? This is not even reminiscent of the story in the animated original movie. They just so lifeless. I left feeling nothing. Just so lifeless. I left feeling nothing.
Usually when I do a tweet about a movie, those tend to be, at least for me, it's kind of like, what are your initial thoughts? What are the things that really stick on your brain when you leave a movie. The underpinnings of the film definitely had this, like, as long as we all work together, we can overcome anything type of messaging. But what really stuck out to me was that Rachel Zegler, for all her flaws in promoting a movie, can emote and inflect more in song than Gal Gadot managed to do just speaking. That's a problem because the evil queen doesn't really have any screen presence or charisma. A lot of it feels like she's tripping over her words, so that's an issue. I do think that the magical creatures and the dwarves will be enjoyable, especially for the kids and the women. I don't think that those will be the downside. The issue with the dwarves being as good as they are, and I did like them, is that it made Disney create everything around them CGI. So they couldn't go out into the woods. They couldn't plow some fields and build a cottage somewhere and then do digital animation on top of it. Literally half the movie, the whole middle half of the movie, is this very, very blatant CGI, which leaves you feeling very disconnected from the rest of the film. When they're at the castle, it's noticeable too, but the grandiose nature of the size of the castle and the land around it lends itself to being CGI, so I get that, even if I still think it's a mistake. There's no reason why you couldn't go out, build a physical cottage in location, and bring some realism and some real feel to the visuals of this movie.
As for Rachel Zegler's skills, obviously she's a really good singer.
She is.
But the style of her singing leaves a lot to be desired when you compare it to how it sounded in the original, because the original voice actress was an operatic singer. It's not the right style. It's not the right lyrics. And then as for Gal Gadot, she's failing to be an intimidating villain. She, as you said, has this charming smile. And
she does.
She just looks like she's stifling herself to sound mean, and it's not working. I could also tell immediately what people were referring to when they said this movie is going to give drag queens a whole lot of material for their performances, because Gal Gadot's costuming, makeup, and her own like choreography and singing numbers were basically straight ripped out of RuPaul's Drag Race. They were all voguing, and it was very... It was just like giving like fan service to the gay theater adults.
Let me tell you how they could have better used Gal Gadot. So the thing that I noticed is, and they make her entrance into the film very brief, the way that she woos the king. It's over in less than a second. But what you get is she comes into the castle. She's not wearing her drag-like costume. She's wearing normal clothes, and she flashes that smile of hers at the king, and you instantly know why this guy, you know, after the death of his wife, he's lonely. You can see how a guy like that might be enchanted by this. So a better course of action here, if you're going to make as many changes to the story as you did, maybe what you show is the gradual descent into evil for her character, rather than switching strictly to the villainous stuff, which she just wasn't that good at.
She's not good at that.
But showing her be unbelievably charismatic and charming towards the king might have been a better use of her talent than just immediately trying to get her to ham it up in a way that her accent and her grasp of English inflection just didn't really lend itself to.
The thing is, she walks in and you're supposed to immediately know she's a witch. So she was evil all along. There was no descent into madness. There was no descent into evil. She was always evil. And I like that. I like that she can just be evil and that there's no backstory.
Then they needed another actress to do that.
But they needed another actress to do that. And then as for the dwarves, you're wrong. I mean, I hated the dwarves. I hated Jonathan, who would have been the prince, but wasn't, more. But the dwarfs were just annoying little shit stains. They were awful. And when you compare them to the way that they acted in the animated movie, you can see the dwarfs, they like, you know, bicker a tiny bit, but they mostly get along and work together. And when they confront Snow White, most of them immediately fall in love with her in a romantic way. They fall in love with her, except for Grumpy, who is like, you know, playing a little bit hard to get. I don't know. And especially Dopey is like absolutely head over heels in love with her. And in this one, she comes across the dwarfs and they are loud, obnoxious, they're like panicky male leads. And they all like fight each other like maniacs, like pulling each other's hair out, like physical, like tussling with each other. And then they're cruelly bullying Dopey. Like, Dopey in this movie is basically disabled, like mentally disabled. He can't speak. And they bully him like in a very like sociopathic way, like pouring food on his head.
This is for the purpose of him having an actual character
to give
arc.
to give Dopey a character arc that he never needed to have in the first place. So the dwarfs were awful. They're also what you say about the way you react to the characters in Polar Express is the way I felt about the dwarfs in this movie. They're extremely creepy to look at, the movements of the fake CGI faces. I mean, it goes without saying they would have been much better off just hiring dwarf actors, but, you know, that battle is already lost. And we found out who that polycule was of all of these, you know, non-binary, racially diverse, magical friends. That was the bandits, the group of bandits accompanying Jonathan, her love interest.
Yes, her lovable man.
So they weren't actually supposed to be the replacements for the dwarfs ever. They were a different group.
A lot of people suspect that they added the dwarves after and that they were never supposed to be part of the movie at all, and it was going to be the bandits only in the film.
That's wild.
And they were going to cut them, which makes no sense because they add the entire storyline about Dopey. It doesn't make sense.
But then you said that they planned it as a kung fu movie, basically.
Yes, I posted a thing today that originally in 2012 this was conceived as a kung fu movie with monks instead of dwarves, and kung fu dwarf monks would have been awesome, and I would have watched the crap out of that. I want to talk about fairness, because the word fairness is said like 9,000 times in the making of this movie, and I'm not even kidding you. 9,000 times they say the word fairness.
Fearless, fair, brave, and true.
It's a kingdom for the free and the fair. For the For the fearless and the fair.
Fearless, fair, brave, and true
And
is the mantra.
What the king and the queen are, if we're being honest, and they're not honest about it, is they're the boss who buys you a pizza party on Friday to keep you happy. They are. So the way that you can tell the difference between the evil queen and the lovable king and queen is that it's overcast when the evil queen is in charge. I get that. That's a visual cue. That makes sense. But what they talk about is the king would... She literally says he gave them scraps. He went out and picked apples and made pies for people to keep people happy. He gave them a pizza party. He still sleeps in the castle, does he not? Like, again, I want to preface. Look, kids are not going to think that hard about this. No. It's a matter of whether you think very, very heavily about the type of movies that are made and whether you consider it propaganda. I'm going to guess that most parents, not the ones in this space, obviously, most of the people watching this are probably going to keep their kids away from it because they don't like the messaging. But the average parent isn't going to see that. They're going to see it as a very, very simplistic form of storytelling about fairness and kindness, and they're not going to think about the undertones to it. But even if you go, and I was just curious, I asked ChatGPT like what it considers the differences were between the 1937 and the 2025 one, and they definitely point out that a lot of it is about cooperation and community building.
Right.
Which is a very, very, that is about as much modernity as I can handle.
Jack Posobiec actually tweeted out a mini review of the movie saying, "There's no prince. Instead, Snow White falls in love with a dirtbag leftist thief who urges her to lead a people's rebellion against the white fascist queen." This is the actual plot of the film. I know it's phrased in a really inflammatory way, but I swear that actually is the way it goes down. And we pointed this out with
the white fascist queen might be a complaint if the king and the queen before her were not white, but they were. So that's not. Oh, I guess the mom isn't, but the dad is.
The mom isn't.
But the dad is the focus. The mom is very little of the focus. The focus is on how she wants to be like all that her dad wanted her to be. So it's not like he's framed as a bad person.
No.
So I take issue with him framing it that way.
He said the queen though.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying like him bringing it up about the queen.
Well, yeah, but he's just being hyperbolic. Yeah. My point being, the substance of what he's saying here is true. It is a movie about political rebellion and not a movie about a young woman finding true love. And that was really, that's the thing. this 5 to 10 years from now, you can rewatch and see it as an artifact of where we were at as a culture at the time that they scripted it. And it's going to feel very dated very, very quickly. It already does, actually.
If audio is cutting out for you guys, refresh the stream.
Is the...
some people are having issues. Refresh the stream if audio is cutting out. Continue.
Okay. I hope the stream is okay. So... You know, you think about the original story. This is a coming-of-age tale for a young woman who is maturing into her beauty, and she is unaware of her beauty because it is new to her. And her stepmother is conscious of her own beauty and realizes that Snow White is becoming more beautiful than her. And this sends her into an absolute panic. And she's doing things to trick Snow White into realizing how beautiful she is in the original story. And that is not a feature or even a mention in this one. This one is using the word fairness as to refer to social justice rather than fairness as the more archaic term for beauty.
So let me take you through again, I was curious. Maybe I just don't have any ability to do so others, but I have to ask. I had to ask ChatGPT. I said, how does the 2025 movie differ in themes? And this is what it says. Redefining fairness, meaning that the film suggests that true fairness encompasses compassion, courage, and kindness over superficial beauty. Empowerment and agency, that definitely wouldn't have been a theme that long ago, which is Snow White takes an active role in her destiny, leading efforts to reclaim her kingdom and exemplify modern values of empowerment. There's that word again, modern, and community and solidarity. The story underscores the importance of collective action and cooperation in overcoming adversity. So the thing also is, guys, it felt to me that, look, you do get the poison apple. You do get True Love's Kiss. And True Love's Kiss felt like they wrote that at the last minute and just threw that in there, and it wasn't going to be in there at all. It felt like they added it in there when the backlash started to try to find a way to Frankenstein more well-liked elements of the original story into this movie.
Right.
And he does save her twice.
Yes, it feels like there were like 4 different versions of this movie that got slapped together very last minute, and there are still conflicting elements.
I wrote Prince Generico in my notes because he's the most generic person you've ever seen.
So like the main song of this movie is Waiting on a Wish, and it's new. And it's supposed to replace Someday My Prince Will Come as the main song that Snow White is singing. And I just wanted to like look at a couple of these lyrics to show you what the meaning changed. She said, will she lead or just be led? Is she the girl she always said she'd be? Toward the end of the song, she says, can I somehow, someway learn to be my father's daughter? Someone who could finally start speaking with a fearless heart, someone who just might be brave, someone no one needs to save.
Again.
So she sings this part, and they kept that in the song. But then you see her directly after that getting saved by Jonathan, not Prince, twice.
Which is why I feel like they added the her being saved part and that it wasn't actually congruent with the story.
Yeah. So
not with the story they were trying to tell.
He takes an arrow to save her life. And that's the first time. Then he also gives her True Love's Kiss while she is dead to bring her back to life.
And by the way, in the theater, I made the joke about consent just as somebody else in the theater made the serious comment about consent. So
yeah,
we got that going for us.
So that seems problematic.
He's also not handsome enough to be a prince.
Jonathan looks like a finance bro. He's also 34 years old in real life, and he looks like it. Yeah. So that I just feel like if you're going to pick a relatively unknown person, pick a young person. It doesn't make much sense that they would choose this guy.
Oh, okay, also, by the way, I want to stress again how what this movie is trying to train you to believe is that your loving your nice boss is what you really want to aspire to, because she saves the day by remembering the names of guards. Yeah. She like literally, it's like the bare minimum that your boss can do to come into work and keep you employed there, which is like a pizza party once a month and remember that what your name is. That's how she turns everyone around.
Yeah,
She's like, I remember you used to pick apples. You used to be this for a living. Now you're a prison guard.
So after Jonathan kisses her and brings her back to life, the first thing that she does is she's like, we have to stage a political coup. And then she leads the dwarfs.
She doesn't say that actual phrase.
No, she doesn't actually say that. She leads the dwarfs and she leads Jonathan and the rest of the bandits and everybody all the way back to the kingdom. And they go walk in the gates, and then the village starts chanting behind her like a war chant. By the way, just in the very first scene of this movie, when I see this kingdom, this village, whatever, it is so comically racially diverse that I just immediately checked out. It doesn't even make contextual sense. Like, why is there like a Chinese person over there and then there's like an African person over there, yet they're not even at a seaport?
I actually find that less annoying than when it's just a little bit overdone. Like, it's to the point where they've abandoned
completely abandoned reality.
Well, again, if it was like 80% like white Norwegian people, and then 20%, then it's like, okay, it looks like that person. This isn't a specific place. This is a fairy tale. It goes in line with that. I'm not excusing it. I'm just saying I get it. And again, kids aren't going to care.
So the diverse villagers are all walking behind Rachel Zegler, Snow White, and she confronts Gal Gadot at the gate of the castle, and she's commanding the king's guard to kill Snow White in front of everybody.
Yeah.
And then she's like, I remember you, Gordon. You always loved golf. Or I don't know. Like, she says that.
He's like, I did love golf. I won't kill you.
And he's like, you remember me? So they all were like, wait, she remembers our names, so we're going to mutiny. She leads a mass mutiny against the evil queen.
And I turned to Olivia and I said, I think that's exactly how Che Guevara did it.
Worst part. Actually, I don't know if this is the worst part, but then she just tells the evil queen to
Run.
go away.
And then I wrote in my notes, I go, please don't be banishment. Please don't be banishment.
Yeah.
She has to die by a mistake of her own hand, as is the trope in these types of things.
Yeah.
The other issue here is, and again, my brain. So, do you guys remember in The Lion King when Simba is scared off by Scar and he comes back and Pride Rock just looks like shit? Like, everything's dead. Nobody's been doing anything. It's just horribly maintained. Well, in the castle, in the kingdom, it's just dark out. It's just kind of overcast. Like, nothing actually looks vastly different other than it's just overcast. That's a great visual indicator, but it's not like you see her, like, you don't see her mistreating the peasants. You just saw the old king giving them pizza parties by helping them make pies once in a while, by ruling with love and kindness. Again, we are overanalyzing this as adults. We are not kids.
That was from a line that stuck out to me in the very beginning of the movie before grown Snow White is shown to us. So they're showing the communist utopia in which Snow White grew up before the evil queen ruined everything. And I don't remember if this was the narration or the song, but it said the people enjoyed the bounty of the land was enjoyed by all who tended it. And then they made multiple references.
Like, you can come and take apples off my tree. It's like, bro, if you've got a tree, you need those apples for yourself.
One of the king's guard that Snow White calls out by name, she says, I remember you had a cherry tree in your yard and you would let everyone come over and take all the cherries.
You turned no one away.
You turned no one away from your, so that was like a major theme. And then there was also like, Jonathan stealing potatoes from the castle. And
she goes, is that your excuse for stealing?
Yeah.
It's like, shut up, Karen. Okay, I will say, if we're going to be 110% honest and fair, Rachel Zegler.
Fair.
Yes.
Are we going to be fair?
Yes, we are. They demanded
fearless,
in this movie.
Brave,
we are going to be fearless, brave, and fair. Rachel Zegler is the best part of this movie, at least in so much as there is a lot of music in this film. She sings very well. She inflects very well. She does manage to portray a likable character. It does not escape me that a lot of people are probably not going to be able to turn their brain off about the way that she behaves off screen. But if you're being fair to her, given the fact that she's playing a communist queen, then she does it well. It's fine. My critique of the music being that I said every single one of these sounds like a Mandy Moore song from 2004. And then I saw that it said Mandy Moore did the choreography, and I couldn't find any like confirmation of that on IMDb. So I don't know if it's even the same Mandy Moore. But they all sounded like Mandy Moore songs to me, and she has a history of working with Disney. And a lot of the songs kind of ran together and felt very much the same to me, as if they could have all been the same song. But again, I'm not there for the music. I'm there to critique the bad CGI. And again, I think that the biggest missed opportunity was that you could have really built a beautifully real-looking world in a forest somewhere, and it would have helped this movie feel very stable and real in the middle half. And that's arguably the most important part, because you're building up. The crescendo's nothing. It's like they go to the castle, they're like, leave, nobody likes you anymore. And she's like, no, I'm not leaving. And then she goes back up and she dies by her own hand.
Yeah, in the animated version, she is still under the appearance, the evil queen is still under the appearance of the old widow, and she falls to her death off of a cliff, and that's that. And
that was, I was like when she was on the bridge, I'm like, fall off the bridge.
And you know, don't you think that like kids would be more disturbed by watching what we watched? Like the evil queen runs back in the castle, and then she, you know, finds out that she's no longer the fairest, smashes her magic mirror in pieces, and then gets sucked into like an abyss of hell in front of you. And then it shows you this from the perspective of like being inside the abyss, and she's disintegrating into a million pieces into hell. And then the mirror closes back up again. Is that not more disturbing than just her falling off a cliff into the darkness?
No, I feel like it
felt more like we were watching her commit suicide. Like,
yeah. It's also, it's not like there's no real catharsis in overcoming the evil queen, because she wasn't formidable in the first place.
No.
Because it was hard to really follow her line of, like her monologues, because again, Gal Gadot does a lot of things well. She's charming on screen. She's got great screen presence when she's given the right roles, but she's not really known for her dramatic acting, where she really takes center stage.
Her singing ain't
like
it.
even in Wonder Woman, like a big part of the reason Wonder Woman was successful was not just because of her, but was because of her chemistry with Chris Pine, the way they played off of each other in those films. So in this, like when she needs to be evil and really own the screen, I'm like, just bring back Angelina Jolie in another role.
Yeah, or something. I don't know.
Like Maleficent 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Didn't we say like Christina Ricci would do a good job?
She could have done it.
Someone more suited to the role. It just couldn't have been Gal Gadot. I'm also not done complaining about Jonathan, really. I mean, I hate Jonathan. So you were asleep for his musical number.
Yeah, I fell asleep for like 10 minutes.
But this is while we're supposed to still be convinced as the audience that like maybe we ship this. And I wasn't even close to that point. And he does this musical number called Princess Problems.
And I do want to give Disney credit. It probably took real courage to not call it Princess Privilege, which I'm sure they were really, really hoping to.
Well, the point of it really is that he is shaming Snow White for her preoccupation with princess problems and thinks that she's so privileged and so out of touch with what the common man has been dealing with this whole time under the evil queen's rule. But that doesn't even make sense, because he's singing this knowing that she has been imprisoned, tortured, and an orphan for the majority of her life at this point. So why is he saying this?
Yeah, there was not even really, like, they tried to show a revelation earlier in the film when he is being confronted by the evil queen and she's there, and that's when he realizes that she is actually Snow White and is actually a prisoner, and they make no attempt to really show shock on his face or any sort of like, oh wow, rather than it doesn't make any sense logically later on.
It completely is void, and then he just kind of diminishes the importance of her looking for her late father and in this other kingdom, and he's just He's just obnoxious, and they have no chemistry, and there's no...
Yeah, there isn't any real chemistry with
Nothing.
them. I will
Nothing
say,
between them.
I do believe that the kids will like the dwarves, and I do think the kids will like the magical creatures especially.
I liked the deer.
The deer and the
deer
magic
with
and the
big
squirrel
eyes.
and
That
was it like an
cute.
armadillo. Like I saw that.
Oh, I liked the little porcupine.
Olivia
That
loved
was
the
very-
magical creatures. Olivia loved the dwarves. She thought those were cute. And I think that a lot of the women and the kids will like that stuff, and that will be enough. We are kind of saddled with this critique that's tied to all we know about Disney and their messaging. And sometimes it's very difficult for people to separate the two. But for the people that don't pay attention to that, they're not going to be going into this movie with all of that baggage. But the thing is it's not going to be that many people to begin with, because it made like $3.5 million only, which is comparable to Dumbo, which was a humongous box office flop. So if the movie makes $100 million this weekend globally, that's not good considering the size of its budget. It felt disjointed. It felt like it had a million things to say while only saying one thing, and that's you should be fair and fair. And it tried to tell 37 stories at once while not telling any really at all. Dopey having the best character arc for people will probably be surprising. And again, for the people that actually like the dwarves, that is probably going to be a great payoff for them. But I think that for most people, just wait for it to show up on streaming. The visuals weren't nearly good enough to justify spending the money it costs to go to the movies to see it on the big screen. Like you're going to be just as happy watching this on Disney Plus, or Tubi, as Mary would call it. Right?
Well, I honestly think, you pointed out off camera that people are like, oh, well, it's just a movie and it's something to do with like show my kid this movie for a couple hours so that they can, just be occupied with something for a couple hours. But I would say it's just as easy to occupy them with the animated Snow White for a couple hours as it would be to spend money on going to watch this at the theater. So it's not worth it for you to see this. It's also just not worth it to watch it at all because it really is lifeless, soulless. And I think only a shallow person could watch the animated classic version of this movie and think that it needed something else to make it deep. It was always deeper than they seem to realize, and they needed to girl bossify it.
I do think that Rachel Zegler
erase everything that was lovable about it.
I do think that Rachel Zegler does perfectly fine, and I'm sure the material spoke to her, everything except for getting help from the prince at all. I'm sure that the movie spoke to her. She can sing. I don't think that her career is necessarily over. She's going to do Evita on Broadway next. I think she's going to be just fine. We're
going to be seeing more of her.
The bigger issue here is Gal Gadot. It kind of proves to you that Gal Gadot has a very specific niche in Hollywood, and this is not her niche. So I guess, Palestine wins this one.
Yeah, I guess so.
All right, let's move on then, guys.
All right. Gwyneth Paltrow is in the press right now promoting a new movie called Marty Supreme, in which she stars with Timothée Chalamet. And in this interview with Vanity Fair, she really started showing her age. She wasn't aware that intimacy coordinators are a mainstay on Hollywood sets. I guess it's been that long since the start of her acting hiatus that she wasn't familiar with all the new rules and all the post-MeToo social conventions that exist, and she doesn't like them, and I think she feels safe to poke fun at them at this point, at this stage in the game. Here was her full comment. Vanity Fair says, only Gwyneth Paltrow could dip back into filmmaking after a lengthy hiatus and immediately find herself making out with the internet's boyfriend. Of course, they're referring to Timothée Chalamet here, which I find disgusting because he looks like a rat and he has like a mustache that a 13-year-old boy has when he hasn't been taught to shave yet. But yeah, they say last fall, paparazzi footage from Marty Supreme's set revealed Chalamet, a couple decades Gwyneth Paltrow's junior, spontaneously grabbing her and kissing her senseless in Central Park.
Senseless?
Senseless.
Senseless?
Yeah, senseless. Not just kissing her, but senselessly.
How do you... Wait, did he kiss her senselessly, or did he kiss her to the extent that she became senseless? I'm confused.
I think to the extent that she became senseless.
Okay.
Is what they mean. That
Senseless
viral
acts
scene,
of kissing.
That viral scene is but foreplay, Gwyneth reveals. She says, I mean, we have a lot of sex in this movie, and there's a lot. A lot. So you're in a lot of vulnerable positions with him, they ask. And she says, beyond. So, first of all, I don't want to see Timothée Chalamet and Gwyneth Paltrow.
It's the golden
having
age
sex.
for middle-aged women in Hollywood. They
Is
just
it
get
not?
to have sex
It's
with all the
crazy.
20-something dudes.
Nicole Kidman is doing it.
Anne Hathaway is doing it.
Anne Hathaway as well. I mean, you could even maybe count that Jennifer Lawrence movie, No Hard Feelings.
Yeah.
It's just countless examples at this point. It's getting weird.
I mean, I don't know. Saying the Jennifer Lawrence one is that age is kind of like when they're saying Hillary Burton is aging and she's like 42, but it's just because she has
But the point
gray hair.
of the movie plot is that she's like the older woman,
Yes.
right? All we know about Marty Supreme so far is that it's about a young man with a dream no one respects, and he goes to hell and back in pursuit of greatness. It's a ping pong themed comedy.
Wonder if
He's a ping pong
Kylie was
player.
on set for any of this.
Wait, who?
Is he dating Kylie? Is he the one dating Kylie?
Yeah, yeah.
Wonder if she was on set for any of this.
They've been together for a while now. So she plays a table tennis wag. This woman who is married to someone who is in the ping pong mafia, as it were.
Wait.
They meet.
No, stop. Did you say that she is a ping pong wife and girlfriend?
She's a ping pong mob wife.
Never
Yeah.
mind. I've changed my mind. I want to see this movie.
Okay, cool. It's from Josh Safdie, by the way.
Okay.
So that's his follow-up to Uncut Gems. They meet, and she's had a pretty tough life, and I think he breathes life back into her.
It's
and
not easy being a ping pong wife.
Kind of transactional for them both. And she feels deeply connected to the part she plays, adding, I think this was Josh Safdie saying he feels deeply connected to the part that Gwyneth plays. When Gwyneth Paltrow left acting, she really left, so much so that she says she had never seen Uncut Gems or watched a Timothée Chalamet movie, though her kids are fans of her co-star. That is so weird. That must be so awkward. Like, can you imagine? Ew. They say he's a thinking man's sex symbol. He's very polite.
That feels like a backhanded compliment.
Yeah, that's weird.
Who did they used to say that about? I'll have to come back to it. They used to say that about somebody back in the early 2000s.
So Gwyneth Paltrow is praising Timothée Chalamet as the thinking man's sex symbol. He's just very polite, properly raised. I was going to say kid. He's a man who takes his work really seriously and is a fun partner, which brings us to the copious amounts of on-screen sex, which has changed since the days of peak Paltrow.
So 20 there from Pop Culture Junkie. Says Disney source says advertising schedules have been cut for Snow White since they feel it's more money down a rat hole. This film has 4 rounds of test screenings and was essentially remade 3 times. Does it seem that way? There's enough disconnected story that feels incongruous to say that it feels like it's definitely got a lot of notes from test screenings where they added on to it.
Mm-hmm. So does that mean no advertising after release?
Just like get that
Just
shit
none?
out there.
Where we want it to be memory hold as fast as possible,
Yep.
basically.
On to Lilo and Stitch.
I mean, yeah, kind of. I'm already seeing like way more marketing for Lilo and Stitch in comparison. So Paltrow said, there's now something called an intimacy coordinator, which I did not know existed. I was like, girl, I'm from the era where you get naked, you get in bed, the camera's on. We said, I think we're good. You can step a little bit back. I don't know how it is for kids who are starting out, but if someone is like, okay, and then he's going to put his hand here, I would feel, as an artist, very stifled by that.
She has joined the likes of Sean Bean and Michael Caine saying, like, I just don't get these intimacy coordinators. They're stifling my art.
Like she's admitting that she's out of touch with the new sexual mores.
Well, it was men that said this stuff before, and they were roundly criticized for saying so.
Well, she's getting criticized too. We'll get to that. She said, I was like, okay, great. I'm 109 years old. You're 14. I don't know if it's great that she perceives Timothée Chalamet to be a child and is still filming these scenes with him. But for the record, he is actually a 27-year-old man. So very much the age of consent. But a lot of the Gen Z replies were saying like, wow, like Gwyneth Paltrow really like didn't know what she was saying here. Like she needs to take this back. She needs to walk this back.
She's properly disconnected. She doesn't care.
Someone said it's for everyone's safety, girl.
I was curious about the gender breakdown of intimacy coordinators.
Oh, they're all women.
No,
right?
no. See, that's where you're wrong. A study in 2022 says 63% of working intimacy professionals identified as female, while 30% identified as trans.
Wait, which ones?
30% identified as trans.
What?
Non-binary, gender fluid, agender, or otherwise gender non-conforming. Another analysis of film credits over a 4-year period indicated that 87% of intimacy coordinators were awarded to women, 12% to men, and 1% to individuals identifying other ways.
Where did you find this?
I just ChatGPT'd it. It's from a.
This is real?
Yep, it's from a Stephen Follows post. I don't know if it's. Look, who knows? Who knows? I just thought it was interesting. Could be fake. ChatGPT isn't always right.
Well, okay, the part of my guess that almost none of them are actually just men. Like,
I mean,
like
well, 12,
actual
we'll say
straight
12.
men.
I mean, the
That's
87, the 87% to 12% men actually makes sense to me, but that might be for
gay men.
Yeah.
So, like, how many straight cis male intimacy coordinators are there?
I don't know.
Like, guessing 0.
Somebody could make a YouTube channel, like my journey to become the first male intimacy coordinator begins here, and they start like training.
Even that is its own cottage industry now. I know you talk about people who work in blue collar trades, and they make that into a way to create content on TikTok or
Half
YouTube.
the things I watch are people doing.
But you see that a lot with other people as well. Intimacy coordinators, I've noticed, are making TikTok pages and a whole social media presence around what they do for a living because it's just so fascinating and it's so beyond what ordinary people even realize. Like most people don't know that intimacy coordinators exist.
Yep.
And apparently Gwyneth Paltrow was one of those people who didn't know that intimacy coordinators
it was like
exist.
they brought up Cameron Diaz, who didn't understand how Hollywood worked now when they come back to the industry.
Yeah, she also, Cameron Diaz said that she was like just stunned by the new invention of like camera phones. Like she was famous before cell phones that had cameras.
1994, The Mask.
That's a wild transition to live through, and I'm sure MeToo is just as much of a seismic shift in Hollywood. But yeah, there's that, and then there are like therapists who make a following off of being therapists.
I remember the interview.
Morticians.
I remember the interview with the guy from True Detective talking about how, or no, it was with Alexandra Daddario, I think, talking about how they hired adult film stars to be extras in like a strip club scene, and like when they say action, they all just take their clothes off and start doing their role, and all the the regular actors are like,
So what were they expecting them to do before taking their clothes off?
No, I think they were talking more the ease of which they just get naked without any like second thought. There's no there isn't a second thought to it, nor do they feel embarrassed or even self-conscious in any way because they're so used to being in a room like that. But now in a far more litigious society, there has to be the intimacy coordinator on set to make sure that Sean Bean or somebody isn't putting their hands where it's not supposed to be.
So they say Gwyneth Paltrow laughs, but in fact, she is part of the reason behind the shift toward intimacy coordinators, which rose to prominence after the MeToo movement revealed an extent of sexual abuse in Hollywood. As a former Miramax darling, Gwyneth Paltrow lent her prominent voice to the reckoning in 2017, alleging in the New York Times that Harvey Weinstein made sexual advances on her in his hotel suite when she was 22 and on the cusp of filming her first starring role in Emma. She said, when asked if Me Too succeeded in changing the industry, Gwyneth Paltrow says, "I think so. For one, there are no meetings set up in hotel rooms, from what I understand." I'm shocked by that. Or if there are, it's multiple people in the room. That bubble has definitely burst. I'm sure people still abuse power in Hollywood because they do everywhere, but it has definitely changed.
It's a very rational response.
But then, regardless of the change that's taken place in Hollywood due to Me Too, she still doesn't want to deal with the consequences of it. And the real world consequence of it is the fact that there is an intimacy coordinator on set. You know, maybe the only other difference would be mandated therapy on set, but intimacy coordinators are an invention of the post-MeToo era, and she clearly feels uncomfortable with that.
Yeah.
More uncomfortable than she felt with the way things were before. And yet she still was one of the most vocal advocates for the change.
Well, I wonder what it'll look. I mean, it's more like you advocate for the change without really knowing what that change is going to look like, and then you realize that you were more comfortable with what it was beforehand. But that doesn't mean that change isn't necessarily a bad thing. So 20 years from now, Gen Z will be looking at a completely different Hollywood that will have completely different rules and regulations, and they will then have to reckon with their own lack of understanding of what it's going to be like, because there'll have to be two intimacy coordinators, like watching each other at the same time.
I already feel like I don't understand young people these days.
Yeah, I mean, you make that joke to me all the time.
I say it all the time because it's like just yesterday I saw a Zoomer couple walking out of the movie theater, and I was like, oh, they look like they're maybe like late teens. They're getting into this kid's car, and he actually opened the door for his girlfriend. I'm assuming it's his girlfriend. Mm-hmm. And I was like, wow. Well, they still care about being humans.
No, what it was she opened the door for him when they went to the theater.
Oh, it's
so he's allowed
50,
to reciprocate.
50.
Yeah,
okay,
that's what it is.
Okay.
Some like that actually happened one time. I opened the door for Olivia, and somebody like looked at me from across the street and go, "Nice." Like in a nice. They were like, "Oh, nice." And
but it's like crazy that that's so remarkable. Like,
yes.
But I did remark upon it.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, like teenagers are still trying to be normal human beings. That's cool.
Or hear me out.
That's great.
Hear me out. He has a good dad.
I hope so.
I
certainly hope so. It's rare.
Like he has good parents.
Yeah, I bet.
Like that was it's like, or is this what we call good parenting?
Being raised right.
That's crazy. Mm-hmm. All right, let's move on. What would you like to see? Cringe or cute of the day?
Let's start with cringe.
Okay, cringe first. Yeah, let's get it out of the way.
It's a JoJo Siwa cringe, which we haven't had in a while.
Let's make sure that all the videos are working here, given all the tech issues today. So here we go.
I hope so.
I was pleasantly surprised to see JoJo Siwa. You know, I gotta ask you, what are you wearing, baby?
I mean, it's funnier if they don't ask at all.
She's wearing a hair donut.
She wants you to ask. It's better to be like, oh, how you doing? Oh, yeah, it's nice.
Just don't address it.
I like your jacket.
Yeah.
Baby, you tell me. I don't know. It's kind of funny. I had this vision, and I found this online, and I was like, yeah, you know.
That was the worst thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah. And then I had this vision. I told everyone on my team what I wanted, every piece to the puzzle. But everyone on my team, I mean my mom, she made this, and she was like, "Okay, honey, I'll trust you, but I don't think it's gonna end." Here we are. You're never gonna get nothing normal from me. Don't even look for it.
I turned.
Given that we're gonna be talking about it later,
It's like an onion ring.
Given what we're gonna be talking about later, I feel like this is one of those situations where time traveler steps on a rock. The Last of Us. And she ends up playing Ellie.
JoJo?
Yeah. Like, I feel like time traveler steps in a rock and she ends up being Ellie.
I'd actually rather JoJo Siwa played Ellie than
Bella Ramsey.
Yeah. I'm not going to lie. Now that you bring it up, I'd rather see her play that character.
Before I do cute of the day, guys, I do also want to remind everyone, we do have merch available. I forgot to do this at the beginning of the show. You should help save the Gongo by buying a mug. Mug Club. They're making all of these pop. They're making all these pop remixes about LeBron James on Instagram now that go super hard. It's awesome. Maybe we'll do a segment about that.
The craziest trailer. Do you remember that?
The sneaker. I'd already seen that. I mean, not that one. But
what?
I already seen that one.
I don't know if you people are aware of this. There was a preview last night
called Sneaks.
For a movie called Sneaks. The soundtrack is made by DJ Mustard, and it's about sentient basketball shoes.
Weirdly enough, the saddest part about this is they got no copyright from any of the shoe companies, so they have a backwards Nike logo, and a guy has to make a joke about Converse because they didn't have the rights to actually put the actual. Imagine how that movie could have looked if they would have actually gotten the rights to draw up actual sneakers on there.
I give them points for like trying to do something original, I guess.
The drugs that must have been done to get that one written.
But the way that they just kept telling you over and over, it's Mustard. It's DJ Mustard. He made the music for it. DJ Mustard made the music.
Okay, so guys, pick up a mug. I have it pinned in the comment at the top for the chat. I will add it to the description box after the show. We were having so many technical difficulties before the show. I didn't have time to add it, but you can get a mug. You can get a t-shirt. There's all sorts of stuff on there. I like this one personally. With USAID going up in flames, we need our own NGO to help save the Gongo. So you guys should pick up a mug, pick up a t-shirt. You won't regret it.
USPCC will be donating all proceeds to the Gongo.
All right, cue of the day. Deadman submitted this. Here's Valentine sitting on her favorite bed.
Aw, that's a cute name, too.
That is a very cute cat.
Loafin. Just loafin there. That's
and one more here from Stephanie Bell. Milo and Capone morning snuggles with the pups.
Aw.
That is adorable.
Very cute.
Absolutely love the show. Have a great weekend. Thank you, Stephanie. Okay.
Thank you. We'll try.
All right. Well, we had to see Snow White, so it's
After
all
that,
uphill
it's going to
from
be
here.
a recovery.
It's all uphill from here. Let's get started.
Bella Ramsey, the star of The Last of Us, is doing press for their new season right now. And instead of talking about the show, she is talking about her gender identity and the fact that she was recently diagnosed with autism. So it's just really taking center stage in what people are paying attention to here, not anything about the freaking show itself. It's just about Bella Ramsey. And, it's funny. They act like this stuff just comes up in an interview out of nowhere, like it's totally random and not a publicist-fed question. But it's very clear once you actually read it. It's from this new interview that Bella Ramsey did with British Vogue, in which they are referring to her with they, them pronouns. I am not going to be doing that because I'm not going to do the mental gymnastics that it takes to comply. But
it's also ruined those moments in movies where they pronoun bait.
Like not with neo pronouns, but
like in the movie,
usually,
they're like, "Have you seen her?"
Yeah, it's usually using them like they did in Fallout.
Yes.
Like there was a character in Fallout that just happened to be referred to that way with no context.
Well, it's in the movies back in the day. What would happen is like if you imagine the villain was going to be a bad guy, then somebody says, "You have to stop her," and they're like, "What?
What do you mean?"
As if everybody didn't see it coming.
Yeah.
Ruined it.
On the subject of routines, Bella Ramsey is a big fan. Quote, "I've spoken a bit about neurodivergence before, but I always, for some reason, didn't want to ... I felt like I didn't want to say what it was. I got diagnosed with autism while I was filming season 1 of The Last of Us. The craziest part here is that it was because someone working on the set clocked her.
Had a daughter or a son, had a
Yes.
child that was autistic, and then they said, "Hey, have you ever been tested?"
While shooting in Canada, a crew member with an autistic daughter assumed that Bella Ramsey had it too, setting them off on a journey that ended in a formal psychiatric assessment and diagnosis. It confirmed something that Ramsey had always wondered about. As a child, they had routinely felt out of place in school, a self-described weirdo and loner, more comfortable around adults than their unpredictable adolescent peers. There were other hints, too. Sensory issues common to people on the autism spectrum, and their painful hyper-awareness of other people's micro-expressions and body language. They aren't a fan of the heavy waterproofs and thermals that come with filming in the cold Canadian wilderness. Too much stuff on my body, explains Bella Ramsey, fidgeting as if remembering it now in person. Wow, so you feel uncomfortable when you're wearing raincoats. I guess that means you're autistic. Their autism, they point out, actually improves their craft. So this is, I guess, helpful when you're an actor. I've always been watching and learning from people. Having to learn more manually how to socialize and interact with the people around me has helped me with acting. Being on set, too, offers a routine. I have a call time, and I'm told what to wear, how to stand, where to stand, and what to eat. They describe this diagnosis as freeing. It enables me to walk through the world with more grace towards myself about not being able to do the easy everyday tasks that everyone else seems to be able to do. So Bella Ramsey is saying she feels freed and liberated and maybe even empowered and proud of the fact that she is diagnosed with autism. Rather than impaired.
I'll get the House reference out of the way now. They do an episode on autism where House connects with a severely autistic patient, and they kind of spend the episode, all of the other characters spend the episode kind of wondering if House is himself somebody who has Asperger's, and they kind of make the point that he would like it because it would absolve him of the need to observe social niceties. And that's a discussion that they have, and then they say, House doesn't have autism. House is a jerk. And that's kind of where that discussion went in 2004 or 5 or whenever they were having that episode. So I found the part about being a loner to be really interesting because, look, back in the day, the lifetime ago that was like the 80s and the 90s or even the early 2000s, the character of the loner was a trope.
Yeah.
And it was a real person who was not a medical diagnosis, who just happened to have a disdain for other people or was misunderstood because he fell outside of the social norms. But it wasn't medicalized in the way it was now. Now what they would do in movies is they would say that it's coded, that it's Asperger's coded, that it's autistically coded, which kind of boxes them into a really, really annoying in a really annoying way, because if you call it coded, then you have to start observing some type of decorum around the condition and what you have to say about the condition rather than using a person's unique behavior as a jumping off point for storytelling.
You know, I think that it's really sad to hear a young person talk about themselves like this, like they've just put themselves in a box they'll belong to for life. Like, she's only, 21 years old? And she already has pathologized herself this way in multiple ways. She fits the psychological profile of someone who falls into gender ideology at a very young age, when you're a young, insecure girl who is not conventionally attractive, doesn't have an easy time socially. Thank you.
I guess
you hear all of these markers time and time again, and those are the predictors for like young women who end up identifying as trans or identifying as non-binary, is they have these same comorbidities, including autism. So it's no wonder why she came out as non-binary in 2023, is insisting on presenting in this strange gender non-conforming way, presenting with these pronouns, and making that a huge part of her identity publicly as well.
Apparently 15 to 35% of autistic individuals identify as LGBTQIA.
Yeah, do we think that's like a coincidence?
It's an overrepresentation. And the thing is there is not the same stigma around autism. The new stigma around autism is actually more that people think that it's overdiagnosed and it's used as a synonym for quirky.
Yeah, it is.
And conservatives fall into this as well.
Yeah.
Where they say, look at me, I'm so random, bro. I'm autistic. Like, X is half full of people.
Everyone's doing
talking about how they're autistic because they have some obsession with some obscure thing that they like to talk about. I watched
it's not even like, it's totally nonpartisan. Everyone is identifying with autism.
It's because human beings have an extreme desire to stand out, and they want to be unique in some way, and this is a way of getting like a medicalized banner that says, I am unique, I'm not like most humans. From the average everyday person. And in a world now where you're connected to more people than you ever were, like back in the day, it's kind of okay not to stand out in a town of however many thousands of people in your small friend group of who you hang out with. But now you go on the internet and you're surrounded by millions of people making interesting content, people who have interesting things to say. You go on X and there's people writing diatribes about really interesting ideas. Then you're like, how do I stand out? I know.
This
diagnosis. And it's kind of sad.
Yeah, I was just listening to an interview with Freya India on Chris Williamson's podcast, Modern Wisdom, and she was talking in the beginning of their interview about therapy culture and how it's really appealing to young women right now. They're finding, if it's not from going through therapy and taking psychiatric medications themselves, it's from the content they consume about it. And then we're all like kind of consuming the same therapy culture, even if we choose not to participate in it in a real way. You're gonna hear the same terms like about attachment styles and, you know, neuroticism and like.
And this is actually where women like shine on like Instagram skits with therapy culture skits. They're very good at it.
Yeah, and then this is a perfect place for all of these women to convene and ruminate and commiserate together, which is something we love to do. I love commiserating as a woman with other women about our problems and not trying to solve them. Like, it is really, like, we love doing that. But you do it online with millions of other people, and you just go down a toxic spiral.
Whenever Olivia is talking about a problem, I don't always hit the mark, but I try to ask the question, do you want a solution, or do you just want to, you know, talk about this?
I have a hot take on that. I feel like you shouldn't ask that question.
No, I can usually tell in her tone when it's when it's a problem that needs to be solved, or when it's just.
Yeah, it's better to just have the intuition and not like ask.
I do my best.
You know?
But usually it's just she wants to talk about something, and that's fine. Whereas, you know, maybe it's not all guys, but it's like, how was work? It was fine. How's your day? It was good. And I'll give more details if prompted, but I tend to, you know.
Yeah.
One of the things I have going for me is my brain is just so addled that it's just, I forget it as soon as it's over. It's like, like, well, Snow White was so this or that. I already forgot all of it. You also made a point in this, if we want to transfer to it a little bit, is about her talking about ethical billionaires.
Yeah. I read through her whole Vogue interview, and it was pretty bad. Just first off, they lead with this in the headline. Bella Ramsey opens up about their liberating autism diagnosis and new season of The Last of Us. Empathetic, climate conscious, vintage loving, meaning, you know, low carbon footprint. Bella Ramsey has plenty in common with other 21-year-olds, aside from being the star of one of the biggest TV phenomenons of all time. So here is later down in the interview. She says, Bella Ramsey surprises me with the statement, quote, "You can't be an ethical billionaire. We're discussing the state of the world, which we both agree is not good." Bella Ramsey says, "I remember when I first heard that saying, I was like, surely you can be. But now I've thought about it. If you've acquired enough wealth to be a billionaire, you're not giving enough of it away." She cackles. I really don't understand how you can have so much power and not use it in a way that's beneficial to the development of the world. But I guess people like Elon Musk think they are developing the world, and they are in one way, but maybe to the detriment of literally everybody else around them.
So, again, this is not, I hate to feel like
there was also like Trump stuff in here. Like,
I guess space exploration, affordable electric cars, and a vast network of free transference of information isn't enough to be ethical. I would ask her, as the star of The Last of Us, which is owned by Warner Brothers, which is a large publicly traded company whose main top-level shareholders are BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street. Where do they fall in the lines of ethical billionaires? Certainly those aren't, that's not as scary as an individual person that you can post a picture of and make some type of weird propaganda 9,000 word meme on, because none of them can meme. But where do those companies fall in line?
We have a
with
20
ethical billionaires
real quick from Pop Culture Junkie. I've never heard the term therapy culture before. What in general is it? It just means that we live in a therapy culture because it's a culture that promotes therapy as a catch-all solution. It encourages people to pathologize normal behaviors or even just anomalous behaviors that aren't dysfunctional. And then it medicalizes spiritual issues or physical issues. It encourages psychoanalysis and rumination on one's problems and finding solutions inside yourself rather than externalizing. That's basically it.
Yeah, if you notice that you have a friend or somebody that tends to call a lot of other people narcissists, they're probably deep in therapy culture.
It's all of that and all the people who are actively in therapy, and then all of it reverberating through social media to the people who aren't necessarily even in therapy.
Yes. Look, for Bella Ramsey, she's going to get probably a good amount of work. She's fashionable. She's whatever. I don't think she's
whatever.
I don't think she's a terribly good actress, but again, I've only seen her in The Last of Us.
Honestly, so unsightly, it makes me uncomfortable to look at her. I don't like watching her in The Last of Us. I really just don't enjoy looking at a face like that. I don't mean it in like a cruel way. I really don't, but she's not attractive, and I don't want to spend prolonged periods of time looking at a face like that.
I think that she has the look of somebody who's just not leading person. Like, look, there's plenty of actors that are just not the typical leading man or leading woman looking person that have a strong presence in the industry because they get roles that kind of fall in line with having a unique on-camera presence. She could follow that direction, but again, most of the virtue signaling becomes very repetitive and it's not a whole lot of fun to talk about, other than the fact that I find it funny that I heard also that 15 to 20% of autism is like self-diagnosed now. So who knows?
Really?
Yeah, a high percent.
Well, that just means nothing.
Yes. Well, I mean, think about what it's used. Like, it's not like people who self-diagnose ADHD, where it's like, well, then you're not getting the meds that you want, that you clearly want if you have ADHD, right? So if you're diagnosed with Asperger's, changes will be in diet, routine, and therapy, whereas if you self-diagnose, it just gives you the ability to just talk about it and talk about how you're
I wanted to mention this other part where they're comparing the setting and circumstances of The Last of Us to how society is in real life.
They were doing this with The Handmaid's Tale again recently.
Yes, they're giving The Last of Us the Handmaid's Tale treatment, essentially. One could argue that someone like Bella Ramsey presents a new kind of hope on a planet that feels increasingly hostile towards queer people. Here is a non-binary person who, despite the rightward drift of politics, has millions in their thrall, including a devoted online following and an influence that comes with playing the lead in one of the biggest television hits in history. And they understand they have a voice too. And here's what she says. "It's the golden age of America," she says sarcastically, of Donald Trump's election. Like, really? It's terrifying, actually. How is he in power? So I guess they're trying to point out that it feels appropriate in a climate apocalypse of Trump's America that we're watching. An apocalyptic show.
1/3 of autism cases are self-diagnosed, but apparently with the 75 to 80% accuracy rate when they eventually do seek professional help.
She seems like a very troubled person. She has this non-binary identification as well. She also, now is like autistic too. And she's also like a crazy leftist. And she also said that she's like recovered from anorexia in the last 2 years or something.
How do you have time to work when you've got that much going on?
Yeah, it's just like a whole host of issues, clearly. And none of them should be known to the public, but she's telling everybody. And it's just so obvious how someone like this ends up finding all of these different communities to belong to.
Well, that seems to be an ongoing, like with the rejection of family, the desire to find a community has become overwhelming for a lot of people. All right, let's move on. Let's do some super chats.
Shane H. Wilder said, happy Friday, Brett and Mary. I'm happy to see you didn't die at Snow White last night. So, more so, Brett, as I figured Mary just fell asleep.
No, I fell asleep.
I was the one who stayed awake the whole time. Brett fell asleep. When did it start?
Right when she was about to be discovered by the dwarves.
When she's
For about
sleeping
10
in their
minutes.
beds.
Yeah.
So there was that. You missed the whistle while you work number, which was actually not as bad as you thought it was going to be. The whistle while you woke. And then you missed the princess problems.
That one I'm sad I missed.
Maybe you were asleep for like longer than you thought. I think like 20 minutes.
Maybe that's why I liked it more.
Yeah, I think so.
One other thing I forgot to give the movie credit for was that it was short. Okay.
It was.
Look,
yeah.
it said that the movie was going to be done at 10:39 and it was done at 10:30. I'm like, let's go. I like this movie already.
Yeah, it was an hour 49 minutes.
Yep,
I
something
believe.
like that.
High Voltage 75 said, my pre-show prediction of Brett and Mary's Snow White review. Thanks, we hated it.
I didn't hate it. It was just whatever.
I didn't hate it. It just what does it make me feel? Like it's a secret third thing. It's just like disappointment or like
I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed.
contempt.
Yeah.
It's just like you really had to do that.
Look, there's
really?
every possibility that if I had maybe the problem was that when we went and saw Wish, I didn't get a nap in, so that's why I hated it so much.
Wish was way worse in terms of like wokeness.
And I still can't figure out why it was that I hated Wonka so much. I can't figure it out. For all intents and purposes, I should not have hated Wonka, but I did.
Because it was really bad. That's
never been a barrier for me.
I guess not. No. Pete Donovan said, happy fasting Friday, y'all. Let's get it. Kenneth Hart said, take this super chat for the pain of Snow White. Thank you.
Let's do one more.
Thank you so much. Deep South EDC said, is it a graphics card problem, the tech issues?
No. No,
thankfully not.
All right.
We're good on the stream, right? Everything's fine?
Yep, seems fun. All right, let's move on.
Hailey Bieber is currently considering taking legal action against YouTubers. We're going to have to watch out for a cease and desist after this video because they are talking about rumors that she stalked Justin Bieber for over a decade before they got married. And I don't know whether to believe this story and praise her for it or find it creepy, but with all of the evidence stacked against her, it's hard to deny that she at the very least had some level of obsession with him before they knew each other. And she kind of enacted this mastermind plan to weave herself into his social circles unbeknownst to him and arrange their marriage before he had a clue what was happening.
Look, when you find this out in a movie, it's right at the end and bad things happen right after.
It's giving Gone Girl, hopefully without any of the violence and death.
When this is revealed at the end, the woman is extremely manic and holding a knife like this. And there's consistent shots like she's like rubbing it against her body like this. And he's like, no. That was so nice of you. I'm so happy you had so much forethought. Like the hostage negotiator always tells you in this situation to keep them calm, keep them distracted.
Right. So TMZ reports Hailey Bieber is fed up with some of the false narratives and rumors about her spreading online, and she is exploring ways to fight back. I'm sorry, Hailey, you cannot sue people for talking about you. You're a celebrity. They're not doing anything wrong or illegal. Sources close to Hailey say the latest narrative online tries to paint her as a bully and a stalker, and she is taking legal action for the first time. This is in response to a 7-part series that is being reposted from YouTube onto TikTok and going extremely viral. It was actually originally posted back in August last year on a channel called Internet Oddities, but someone else took the series and reposted it to TikTok, and that's where it's been mainly going around. It compiles all of the evidence that exists online for how Hailey constructed her relationship with Justin Bieber, using both like her Hollywood connections being in the Baldwin family, her friendships with the Jenner sisters, and social media sleuthing, all of it combined to the point where she ended up being across from Justin Bieber on her wedding day.
I mean, she really could teach a course in like self-actualization and realizing your goals.
The funniest part about this going viral is how many girls are saying that they want to emulate it.
Like,
is that worrying? I don't know.
I could probably learn a thing or two about the concept of like achieving something you don't know if it's possible. Like, I tend to be on the doomer side, or I'm like, oh, that sounds impossible. Not her, apparently.
Discover the story of Hailey Bieber's relentless pursuit of Justin Bieber, including how she leveraged her famous friends and her dad's Hollywood connections to turn Justin into her husband. Also, examine her surprising habit of mirroring Selena Gomez's every move, and explore the hidden dynamics behind Hailey's journey and the influences shaping her public persona. So we're not going to watch through this series, but basically it adds up to about 20 minutes long of information. And I'll just go bit by bit. So back in 2009, Justin Bieber made an appearance on the Today Show. And back then, Hailey Bieber was, I believe, 13 years old. And her father, Stephen Baldwin, pulled some strings and used his connections to let her meet Justin Bieber backstage on that appearance. And he speaks about it as if it were an arranged marriage in this appearance that we're about to show you.
And Hailey meet? I don't think I've ever heard that story.
How did we meet? We met in the early mornings of a Today Show taping. I'm pretty sure she didn't want to be there. Her dad dragged her out of bed in the morning, and basically was like, you know, I think because she was raised Christian, and I think they found out that, like, I think it was an arranged marriage, I'm pretty sure. I'm not, looking back now, I'm like, it was definitely an arranged marriage. Like, they set this whole thing up. No, but since, like, you know, she was raised Christian, she's like, oh, I want to, you know, introduce you to Justin and his mom. You know, they have similar values and believe the same thing. We think you guys would be good friends.
It kind of sounds arranged.
It was definitely an arranged marriage now that I'm thinking about it.
I mean, like, politicians have been doing this for generations. Her dad's got money. He's got a handsome face and some clout.
Yeah.
We put them together we can drain the taxpayers of all their resources if we just bring together this unholy union.
So I know that they're making it sound like Hailey wasn't the one wanting his attention and that it was her dad's idea. I don't really believe that, because later that same year, she was also seen in the background in the crowd of another Justin Bieber performance at Rockefeller Plaza.
I mean, was this like an important event? Was it like at?
It was just a random concert. Then her father, Stephen Baldwin, booked her a flight to LA and pulled some strings once again to get Hailey an invite to the premiere of Justin Bieber's movie that came out in 2010. And
Mary
then
was probably there when this happened.
You can see her in the background footage watching Justin while he gives interviews on the red carpet. Yeah, she's like, but you can literally see her like side-eyeing the camera, and she's like 13-year-old Hailey, like looking at the camera and looking at Justin. We have a 20 from ALH Books. Hi, PCC and crisis actors. Tired of the same old woke books? I'd be ever so grateful if you would give my high fantasy series a chance. The Divide and Sands of Ashari by Angela L. Hansen are available now. Thanks, Marion Brett.
Where is it available? You should let everybody know where it's available. That would be awesome. People should go and check it out. Thank you for that.
Are you able to like even post links in the chat?
I don't know if they can.
I guess not. But yeah, thank you. So then following that premiere, then Stephen Baldwin got Hailey Bieber an invite to a Selena Gomez premiere for her movie Monte Carlo.
Okay.
And then you see Hailey Bieber on the red carpet as this like 13-year-old girl holding up a magazine, and it's a tabloid that has Justin Bieber and Selena Gomez on the cover, and you see Hailey holding it up smiling in this photo when she's a child. And I think that was like the beginning of her unraveling it all.
I mean, I'm telling you right now, she could teach a course in like staying on task and achieving something.
She was, say what you will, but she was on her grind set and she was brainstorming.
I could have learned
and
something.
masterminding.
I could have learned something from her and Luke Belmar.
Justin and Selena Gomez were dating by this point. But then you see paparazzi footage from 2012 where Justin Bieber and Selena Gomez are on a date out in public. And Hailey Bieber is just there. Like, I don't understand.
Okay, that's weird.
Like, she's just lurking in the background while Justin Bieber and Selena Gomez are on a date.
What
Like,
was the timestamp you wanted to watch on this? We can try and watch the one.
That's for a little
Okay.
later. But then around this time, Hailey Bieber followed a Justin Bieber super fan account on Twitter. And she went to start frequently DMing this super fan of Justin's to find out his whereabouts. And you can see the screenshots in the video.
Is the CIA hiring? They should hire her at the CIA or the NSA.
She would use this super fan to tell her to find out what hotel Justin was staying at. And then once she found out where he was staying, Hailey would either book a room at the same hotel or she would go eat at the restaurant at the hotel.
Doesn't it make more sense?
In the hopes of like bumping into each other, like so random, like crossing paths.
I guess given her last name, she doesn't need like the family members there for credibility, but just by virtue of being the child of a famous in a famous family, she can be like, oh, hey, oh, we run in the same circles.
Right, exactly.
But still, like, not even going to her parents for help. Impressive.
Well, I mean, she
In a creepy
definitely
sort
was
of-
using their money to
in
do
a
all
in
of
a
this.
creepy sort of way.
She
but,
was
you know.
definitely using Stephen Baldwin's credit card to make
Yes.
all of this happen. I don't think the average 15-year-old girl has the wherewithal or the funds to make all of this move, you know?
So what do you think? Is this like? I feel like now she's got sunken cost fallacy, and no matter what goes wrong, she'll never divorce him because she's like.
But it's about proving a point.
Yeah.
It's about proving a point. She was also friends with Kylie Jenner and Kendall Jenner at the time, who were mutual friends with Justin. So she used them also to get
This is all so
an
much.
in his social circle.
This is less creepy because she's not a nobody. She's
Right.
from the same financial tax bracket as all
Right.
of these people. Now, if this was just some random person from Saskatchewan,
right. That
that's
would be even
different.
more impressive.
That's even more impressive. But still,
But yeah, then Justin broke up with Selena Gomez in
she's like,
2014.
here's my moment.
It was her moment because then Hailey and Justin were spotted together on a date in public for the first time that December of 2014. They didn't end up in an official relationship because Justin was in his fuckboy era, but then Hailey started accidentally reposting tweets that were like shipping her with Justin, like on accident, and then she would like accidentally repost tweets that were saying horrible things about Selena Gomez and then unretweet them.
This is the most female thing I've ever heard.
It's crazy. So this is around
this is just so insanely foreign to me. Like,
this is around the same time.
but really,
that,
men, you want that woman in your life that you're scared to talk to?
Is this like, do men like this? Like, do men want to be the object of a woman's like soul obsession this way, or does it depend?
I feel like, okay, so if this was a normal person, not a celebrity, you'd probably be like, why isn't she the one being courted by a bunch of dudes? Why is she doing it? Is she insane? Whereas if you're a rich
Sends a weird
celebrity,
message.
you're like, it's very clear, it's a foregone conclusion that she's likely being courted by a bunch of dudes. And maybe she's just singularly minded.
Yeah.
But it's still weird, and it still indicates, depending on your personality type, like, do you want a type A type of girlfriend who's going to want to make all the decisions and like plan every vacation right down to the moment you leave to the moment you come back? Because that's what she feels like to me.
We got a 20 from ALH Books. That was so cool. They're available on Amazon and my... Oh, I guess you mean website. My pen name, Angel Al Hansen, followed by the usual. I better be careful. These super chats can be addicting. Thanks again. Bye.
Thank you so much. And guys, go check that out. What was the name of the book again? I want to read it off here again. The Divide and Sands of Ashari.
Yes.
Cool.
But yeah, now we should pull up the video and show.
We'll
the
try to make this
example
work.
here.
So give me a second here, because
we were having technical issues with this earlier, so hopefully nothing goes wrong.
If you hear something, it's not.
But
my
for
fault.
context,
what was the time? What was the timestamp?
8 minutes and 22 seconds.
Oh, I almost got it directly on. hold on. Damn. Good
If
job.
it's TikTok, it doesn't work as well as YouTube, but that's fine. But this is about the time that Hailey starts copying Selena Gomez's outfits and poses and meticulously trying to be her.
Many examples of Hailey posting photos shortly after Selena where she's either wearing the same exact outfit or something very similar. The copying allegations even extend to the poses she makes in the photos as well as her facial expressions. Now, if
the music is literally the best part of this.
I know.
It's like you're
like a
watching
true crime
you're
doc.
watching an ID channel episode and something bad has already happened.
shopping at the same stores, or keeping up with the current fashion meta, the reality is your outfits are going to overlap with what other people are wearing. But all of these outfits were posted by Selena first, with Hailey sometimes posting her in the same exact outfit as soon as 24 hours later. The accessories, the facial expressions, the outfits, they're all the same.
Some of
But it
these are
doesn't
pretty
just stop with
obvious. So
clothes.
I
On
want to
June
go further into this. They say on June 4th, 2015, Selena Gomez gets a tattoo of the letter G behind her ear. 12 days later, Hailey gets a tattoo of the letter G behind the same ear. Okay. They have different backstories, but that's so weird. Like, that's very obvious, right?
There's definitely men who are probably into this type of obsession.
I bet. Yeah. Undeniable.
Like, here's the thing. Like, what you want is you want somebody who loves you unconditionally, who's excited to be with you and wants to spend the rest of their life with you. What you don't want is somebody who looks like they're going to cut your face off and wear it like a mask.
But maybe just a little bit.
No. You have to quash that sentiment. You have to quash that sentiment. It's a sign of mental distress.
If you know what's good for you.
It's a sign of mental distress. Okay, maybe in your early 20s and you want to risk it because you think that, look, the correlation being the hot crazy scale, that for the crazier she is, the more likely is she is to be good in bed. Look, if you're a dude in your early 20s and you want to risk that, I wouldn't recommend it, but I would say don't risk being worn as a skin suit.
Just for clarity, you don't think that I'm tinfoil hatting right now, right? Like, the tattoo thing is pretty egregious.
The
like,
tattoo
that's
one is
pretty
pretty
obvious.
Crazy. Like, was it the same font?
Yeah. I mean, like, vaguely, but yes.
Yeah, okay.
12 days later. So there's that. And then there's also another timestamp at 12 minutes, 25 seconds in.
Let's try again.
You can see that Selena Gomez had a cooking show, and Hailey Bieber started her own cooking show and essentially tried to copy everything about Selena's.
You got to give me a second here because it won't let me.
Undeniable
12 minutes what?
resemblance
12
to
minutes
Selena
and
Gomez
25
cooking show,
seconds.
Selena Plus Chef, the debut.
Hold, please.
Thank you.
I thought we were going to get more crisis parties for sitting through Snow White.
Yeah.
I did.
This isn't fair. It's not fearless, fair, brave, and true.
Okay, it's definitely not fair. Okay. All right, guys, here we go.
2 years before Hailey's show. Let's start at the beginning. Selena's show starts with a faux camera HUD overlay to give that raw homemade production quality feel. Hailey's show also starts with a faux camera HUD overlay. Selena points out that the show does in fact take place in her real home.
This is my real home. Everything that we're doing is at home.
Unlike
Hailey points
Meghan
out
Markle.
that the show is actually recorded in her real home.
Yes, we actually are in my real kitchen, in my real house.
Selena has her Nana introduce the dish they will be cooking.
So Nana, what do we call this?
Cheesy tortilla chip casserole.
Hailey has her Nana introduce the dish they will be cooking.
And Nana, what are we making today?
Selena Plus Chef would go on to have 4 11-episode seasons on HBO Max, as well as a spin-off that's still currently airing.
There's spin-offs to cooking shows?
People love
Selena
it.
Plus Restaurant. While Hailey Bieber's What's in My Kitchen would release 5 episodes before being abandoned completely. After fans caught on.
Boo.
It's too much work.
Nobody liked that.
Too much work.
So
To
the
be
weirdest
fair,
thing about this timeline.
Selena Gomez looks like she likes to cook, and Hailey Baldwin doesn't really look like she likes to cook.
Yeah.
Like, Hailey Baldwin looks like her
Damn, Brett, the shade.
Hailey Baldwin's looks like she has a mean DoorDash list, right? Do you see that thing recently where they're now going to let you pay for your DoorDash in installments?
Oh, I thought you were just calling Selena Gomez fat.
No, I mean, that was like, as I was saying it, I'm like, people are going to think that that's what I'm saying.
I totally thought that.
But what I'm saying is that, you know, Selena Gomez does look a little bit more homely, whereas Hailey Baldwin looks unbelievably inaccessible. Like, I don't buy that Gwyneth Paltrow likes to cook either.
No. I think she likes to boil like celery and call it soup.
But that's a good point. Selena's a great businesswoman. Do I really believe that the really, really hardworking billionaire spends a lot of time cooking?
No.
I guess if you're branding it and making content out of it, then sure. But does she like to do it on her own? Like,
she's more relatable, is your point.
She is.
But the weirdest thing about this whole timeline is that back in 2018, Justin Bieber and Selena Gomez got back together for the last time for the span of a couple of months before they ended up breaking up for good. And then directly after that, he gets with Hailey Bieber and marries her only 6 months after.
Well, what's the
that is crazy.
Was the wedding 6 months later, or did he propose 6 months later?
No, he proposed to her literally like 2 months in after breaking up with Selena Gomez for the very last time.
What is the appropriate amount you should wait before proposing?
I'm not sure. It seems to work out for some people for it to be very quick.
You could make the argument that even from his discussion in the Ellen clip where he talks about holding similar values, and he's like, look, we've got similar values, and plus you might do something bad to me if I try to leave, so let's get married.
It's literally fear keeping him. That's how it feels. Look at this photo of him at Disney. I cannot even believe that this is real.
This is perhaps the most memeable photo I've seen in a very long time. But if you guys are going to Disney World or Disneyland, if you're going to put the ears on, you shouldn't make this face.
They call it the happiest place on earth.
Do you know who called him right after that? Ben Affleck. And he's like, I know. They caught you slipping. You can't get caught slipping outside of the restaurant smoking a cigarette. Otherwise, you will become fodder for meme.
He's going full sad fleck.
It's not just the one. Like, if you
all of them.
If you want to believe that this is look, anybody can look a certain way when they're walking. You know, maybe he was making another face and they just caught him in that moment. No. Then there's this one.
Why does he look like that?
And then there's this one. And then there's this one.
He looks like a victim.
He looks mildly alive there. Yeah.
What's going on? Justin, do you need help?
And she looks just like on top of the world.
Just beaming.
There's a disparate tone to their moods that's disconcerting.
So weird. Anyway, I just felt like adding my 2 cents to that. I don't know if I should commend Hailey Bieber for her dedication or if I should find this creepy, but I kind of think it's impressive. I can't lie. Okay. I'm impressed.
I'm gonna
like,
this is more equality between the sexes. Like I said earlier, when the guy shows up to the woman at the club and aggressively tries to dance with her, it's only creepy if he's ugly, right? If she's going to stalk you from the age of 13 and show up at your events and then eventually marry you after copying your ex-girlfriend endlessly for 3 years, apparently it's only creepy if you're ugly.
Well, look, it's not considered creepy because the way that women do it, it's just
research.
It's so underhanded. It's like you think that they're great at making you think that you actually controlled the whole thing.
Yep, this was a Dane Cook bit,
making you think that it was your choice.
Women are mental ninjas.
It's true.
It's true.
And I love that about us.
All right, guys, that was disturbing. Let's do some super chats.
Shane H. Wilder said, Mary in a puffer jacket. Brett must be up to his frostback adjacent shenanigans again. It's a cold day.
I turned the temperature up in here too.
Well, it was like, you have to admit I'm right. It's a cold day today. If it's under 50, I'm wearing a coat.
It's over 50 now though.
I don't know. Yeah. When I came in, at least. Mike Smith, already read that one. Bookstore Thor, will Snow White hurt Gal Gadot's career?
No.
No.
Again, because it's such an aberration for the type of role that she gets. She'll just go back to doing action movies where she smiles and winks at the camera and things will go back to normal.
Well, they did the same thing with Melissa McCarthy's performance in The Little Mermaid as Ursula. They just made it a whole weird drag queen thing. like they're just giving fodder to drag queens to inspire their weird like costumes and shows based off of this Disney movie. It was just weird to me.
What if Snow White had turned up at the castle and said to the guards, "You follow the evil queen. I hope none of you ever know peace."
Yeah.
What if she had said that? That would have been truly inspiring. If she was like, "Look, you're evil."
And then she just kills all of them. Because it's about kindness.
Yes.
It's about kindness with killing them.
It's about
not killing them with
It's
kindness.
about pizza parties on Friday.
Yeah.
It's about giving the citizens their pizza parties, except for their pie. It's not pizza pie, it's just pie.
Greg Duvier
That king was a
said,
master manipulator. He was. Had them all like happily living for scraps.
Yeah.
Typical.
Pie is a luxury.
It's all the white man's fault.
They don't need luxuries. It confuses them.
What, like pie? A pie once a month confuses them?
That confuses me.
Yeah.
Pie once a month confuses me. Greg Duvier said YouTube doesn't want bad reviews about Snow White.
Yeah, we were getting F's in the chat when the show started.
We really? Like we were not even on air?
It
I hope
looks like
that's
we
okay.
were, but whatever.
No. Greg Duvier said also justice for Mocha. Mocha, get well soon.
Yeah, so Mocha got a shout out, I think either on the after show. I think Chris shouted out Mocha on the after show. And a lot of people donated to Mocha's medical fund, to
That's
which
sweet.
Olivia thanks you all. Mocha's doing better, at least for now. Meds twice a day, and we've got another follow-up vet visit in the next, I think on Monday. But Mocha's doing okay. I went home last night and I picked her up and I was like, "You're gonna be okay, right?" And she went, "Bleh." Which means she's gonna be okay. Like it was but you actually notice the difference because her meow, her sad meow is so actually heartbreaking that it made me welcome back the blood curdling meow. Like she was giving like a legitimately sad howl when she was unwell. So it was nice to hear the disgusting blood curdling scream. We love you, Mocha.
Okay. Pete Donovan said, sounds more like Snow White and the Uncanny Valley. Yeah. They also did her so dirty with that haircut. It was just...
They literally cut her hair off. It was so sad. So just leave what's that got to do with shit? It's just because she wants her to be ugly? I mean, is ugly enough to destroy her entire...
That was part of her backstory now, but it just looked like Lord Farquaad hair. They could have given her nice, like, big hair, like nice Marilyn Monroe hair or something. And it just looked like Lord Farquaad. Greg Duvier said, now I want to see the 7 dwarf ninjas knuckle up.
Yes, just like 3 ninjas knuckle up. And 3 ninjas kick back.
Would have rather, like, neither of those things existed.
All right, let's do one more.
El Guapo said, I would rather have a lifetime of halitosis than have to watch any movie with Rachel Zegler in it. What is that?
I don't know what halitosis is. Term I've heard before, but I have no idea what it means.
Let me see. Now I want to know.
Somebody in the chat. Somebody said back hair story.
What?
Like you said her backstory, her back hair story.
Wait, what?
Remember, because she had back hair. We talked about back hair yesterday.
Oh, it's her.
Like her hair is part of her backstory.
Her
back hair story.
Her hair is, part of the backstory.
Oh, Value and You says it's bad breath.
Okay. Yeah, I see.
All right, let's hold off on the rest.
Yes. Meghan Markle is back in the news with the failure of her lifestyle brand As Ever, and Gwyneth Paltrow was asked to weigh in on the damage that's been done so far. Unfortunately, her response was, I don't know her. Gwyneth Paltrow just went fully out of touch and elitist when asked about Meghan Markle
like,
in her Vanity Fair interview.
Yeah, not the royalty I know.
Yeah, exactly. I just kind of love like the smirk that Gwyneth Paltrow is always wearing on her face.
I imagine
so
that
smug.
she ends every 80% of her conversations like this.
I can think of a couple people that in Hollywood I love. It's like Tina Fey and Gwyneth Paltrow, honestly. Those are the two for me, like top this week. But here's what she said. I don't know Meghan and Harry, despite how close they live. I've met Meghan, who seems really lovely, but I don't know her at all. Maybe I'll try to get through their security detail and bring them a pie.
What about one of those Goop necklace vibrators?
So they say she also hasn't seen Meghan Markle's Netflix series, but the show...
Does she watch TV? Does Gwyneth Paltrow watch TV?
What does she even watch?
Like, I don't know if I buy that she watches TV.
Does she just listen to, like, ambient sounds?
Yeah, like, yeah. Or maybe she goes on YouTube and watches those, like, 3-hour, like, fall asleep instantly videos, but she stays awake for them, where it's, like, the rain outside the log cabin.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
The show...
And laughs at how pitiful the cabin looks.
With Love, Meghan seems quite Goop adjacent, but Gwyneth Paltrow feels unthreatened. If anything, she's inclined to defend Meghan Markle. Quote, when there's noise about certain women in the culture, I have always had a strong instinct to stand up for them. She says she welcomes Meghan Markle and any number of Goop descendants to the proverbial lifestyle space.
Do you know how much cooler it would be if these celebrities were like, yeah, when I hear women speaking up, I'm like, you know, I had to do it on my own. Do it yourself. Like,
no, that's literally what I love about Martha Stewart is that she said that about Gwyneth Paltrow.
Figure it out.
When Gwyneth Paltrow started Goop, Martha Stewart was like, if she could really be confident in just being an actress, she wouldn't be trying to be me. That's what she said. She literally said that Gwyneth Paltrow was trying to be Martha Stewart.
That's why I have a picture of Martha Stewart on my Tax Hero wall.
Like, I can't even decide who's more iconic.
Like, I just embrace your nature. Yeah. Ladies, and we're not even like women being competitive with women is true of like the most normal of women, let alone high-powered business owners. Mm-hmm. Like, they're not more highly evolved. If anything, they're more competitive.
Yeah.
And the niceties
and better at hiding it.
And the niceties that they spit in front of your face are just a facade to keep you off the fact that they actually want you to fail.
Mm-hmm. Well, Gwyneth Paltrow at least seemed to be nice and encouraging to Meghan Markle. The rest of the internet, not so much. And she's not taking it well.
She can't even
She's lying about waffles. Meghan Markle is so flagrantly dishonest. She's such a pathological liar that she can't even tell the truth about a waffle.
Let's ask the chat if you can tell the difference between these photos. Okay. So
these are her St. Patrick's Day waffles for her kids.
We need like are there any like hand analysts that can tell me if these are even her real hands?
Or is it someone else?
Or did she pay someone?
Her social media
a hand model, perhaps?
Yeah.
Anyway, so she's pouring this disgusting, like, greenish blue goop into the waffle maker and then posted this with some Eggo-ass looking waffles and says, for the kids. Now, if you look here, what is the difference? I'm curious if you guys spot the difference between the two.
No, we're getting it totally wrong.
No, but then you go.
Okay, can we see it? We're playing Dora the Explorer right now.
I'm kind of pointing it out here with the mouse.
So you can see, obviously, in the grill marks of the waffle iron, this is not the waffle iron that was used to make the one in the end result. So what happened? What magic?
For anybody who ever watched the show iZombie, it looks like the brains that were like injected with the stuff to make the memories last longer and it turned them blue. That's exactly what this looks like.
So, I mean, I'm not trying to be over dramatic or anything.
I am.
But like, why lie about a damn waffle? Like, it's such an unimportant thing to lie about. And you're just drawing more attention to it.
I mean, I think part of it's just the desire to consistently show something like it's actually coming back to bite her in all ways, which is like, it has to be perfect. It has to be, do you remember the video when she's like, we're walking into 2025 and she goes up and she writes 2025 in the sand and there was like a 2025 marked out where she covered it up so that she could do it again. There is nothing authentic about it. And what this is a consequence of a culture where back in the day, you want to know why your photos mattered more when they were taken on a 35mm camera? Because you didn't get to do them over. So when you look back on them fondly, no matter how stupid the face you're making is, because you were there and you were in that moment. Whereas now you take your picture and you're like, oh, hold on, do it again. Literally, it's like, oh.
Yeah. Prince Harry is one of the boyfriends of Instagram.
Yeah.
Clearly. Here's one of the responses. She can't even be honest about waffles. The waffles she attempted to take credit for having made did not come from the waffle iron she depicted herself using at New York Times. If she is willing to blatantly lie about this, what other bold-faced lies are there? So it's
So
true.
many.
I mean, if you're even keeping your dishonesty, your facade down to such levels of small detail, it's probably a mass constructed personality that you have.
I bet you the doormat into her house is perfect and pristine. I bet you there isn't like
the doormat into her house
there's
is
no
just
dirt.
Prince Harry lying on the floor.
There's no dirt on that doormat.
There's
more
doormat.
dirt
It's
on him
just
than on the
Prince
doormat.
Harry. He's just laying there all the time.
Somebody said that they didn't watch iZombie because they thought it looked like a Veronica Mars ripoff. That's because it was literally made by Rob Thomas, the guy who made Veronica Mars.
But not that Rob Thomas.
No, it's not. Though there are jokes in the show about Matchbox 20.
We also saw Jimmy Fallon clowning on Meghan Markle for her infamous peanut butter pretzel debacle in the Netflix show where she takes it out of the package and then puts it into a new plastic bag.
It says the video is no longer available.
Yeah, she's like censoring it now. But yeah, sources close to Meghan Markle reveal that she is feeling devastated and hurt by the unexpected negative response to her Netflix series.
Look, guys, if you dunk on Meghan, that's fine. You shouldn't be sending her death threats. That's not good.
Well, that's obviously bad, but I do think it's overblown. Concerns are now mounting about the impact this will have on Meghan's future endeavors in the entertainment industry.
And also, don't send messages to them direct. Like, that's weird.
Or either,
to me.
yeah, like
that's
either
freaking
way.
weird to me when people like.
You know, the weirdest thing is when someone DMs you and then blocks you, so you can't.
Yeah, so you can't respond.
Like reply, even though I wasn't going to reply in the first place.
I talk to you a lot about the idea of emotional dysregulation.
Yeah,
that's what that is. It's like you're literally so inclined to send this message, but you know you don't want to have that conversation, that you have to do it, but you can't have the conversation.
That means we don't stoop to Meghan Markle's level, okay? Meghan was riding high, full of dreams and aspirations, but it seems like the fall was just as swift as her rise. She had truly believed her Netflix show would catapult her to the same heights as Martha Stewart, offering a fresh start for her career and an image overhaul. Now she is feeling entirely crushed, and the humiliation is still fresh. While she was prepared for a little negativity, the overwhelming backlash has left her reeling. To everyone watching, she might appear to be putting on a brave face, especially since her show made it to the top 10 for a few days. Meghan may be fair game for criticism, but she is also being targeted with death threats over the show.
Don't do that, guys.
Some of the stuff on message boards, forums, the dark web, and Telegram is really disturbing.
I'm loving the idea of like Meghan Markle in a Guy Fawkes mask, like getting on to the dark web, like getting on a Tor network and being like, "Oh my God, they're threatening me." She buying like cheese illegally, like some of that imported cheese you can't get here in the U.S. off the dark web. She's like finding the Silk Road.
Conveniently, though,
she was hashtag free Ross.
It's just so convenient that the Meghan Markle threats are too vile for print.
Of course.
So we don't see any of the examples. The source went on to say the comments that Meghan has received are off the scale, with some people wishing her dead for pocketing millions of dollars on a sham show. She has lost the will to live after the episode about making ice cubes, and she really couldn't work out what she was trying to say.
The critique was saying like they lost the will to live just from watching that episode. Not that Meghan lost the will to live.
Not that Meghan Markle is...
Is it the other lady's like, this is so bad, I'm losing the will to live.
Well, she has talked about that before, I think in the docuseries that they put on Netflix. Meghan was talking about having suicidal ideation over... like things that the press was saying about her.
Meghan, and then like Martha Stewart's like, I'm having that over these muffins you're baking. They're so awful.
Martha Stewart is like, you have to become the villain.
I'm picturing Martha Stewart giving like a Denzel Washington like monologue about like, you're all just children in this game. I've been here since day one.
I don't know what Meghan Markle can do. Like that's the thing. The infuriating thing about Meghan Markle is she can do a lot to improve her situation, but it's a question of
I can
what
tell you
she's
how she could
willing
have done
to
it
do.
here. I can tell you how she could have done it here. Make a bad waffle and post the bad waffle.
It's so
post
easy.
the not
It's so
perfect
simple.
waffle that doesn't look picturesque.
Yeah.
It will make you unbelievably more endearing to the average everyday person. Every female
Take the haters by surprise.
Every female influencer knows that. They're going to tell you to embrace your imperfections and other such nonsense, which is actual advice. It's real advice. It's true, but it's something that she can't do.
For some reason, she's just incapable of posting the bad waffle.
I just, it's that or she goes the evil villain route like Martha Stewart.
Yeah, I honestly am rooting for that outcome more than anything. Let's finish up the super chats. No Control said Snow White, more like yellow snow.
That's
so true.
That's unsanitary.
Shane H. Wilder said, to sum up the Snow White review, thanks, I hate it. Not even thanks. They should be thanking us for even watching it.
There was not many people there, and all the women that came there brought blankets. What is this shit?
Yeah, is this something that people didn't do when you were
Like, I got to be warm and toasty.
younger, or like, is
No.
this a new thing?
No. I mean, I'm never cold anyways, so.
Wait, so you never noticed people taking blankets to the movie theater before? This is a new thing.
For me, yeah. Never seen it before.
Yeah, I see it every time I go now.
Maybe I have seen it. I'm just not remembering it.
I don't know. Is this something that's like normal? I feel like you should be a little embarrassed to do that.
Bring a blanket?
Yeah, it's also unsanitary.
Does anybody there have a stuffed animal with them too?
Yeah, you got a little like a nightgown on, and you've got a little lantern, you know, or maybe like a candle on a.
None
on
of these
a little...
people. Look, I can fall asleep without the blanket or the stuffed animal. You ain't got shit on me.
Pete Donovan said he was senselessly kissing her senseless. Got it. That's different. Ping Pong Mob Wife. That's one heck of a band name. True.
I don't know. Is there a ping pong mafia?
There is. She told us.
Okay.
Greg Duvier said, now how would people react if an older male actor said the same thing Gwyneth Paltrow said? Yeah. I mean, it's not really a double standard, though. It just is, it means men and women are different. Shane H. Wilder said, why does JoJo look like a kid's homemade Christmas ornament?
Like made in shop class at school and brought home to your parents?
No, it came to her in a dream. DJ Mustard, I'm more of a DJ Worcestershire fan. Corey Anderson.
There's a 20 from Tech.
Oh. Meghan Markle should kneel to Mary, and that's her.
And thank her.
Oh, thank her for her review. My review?
Of her personality? Of her waffle?
I didn't actually review her Netflix show, but I should have. If I had my wits about me, I would have watched it when it came out and did a full official review on it.
You should have done it. We could have come in and set up the camera and just let you go.
Yeah, that would have been fun.
All right, what do we got next?
Let me see. Corey Anderson. Mary, please never not be a smoking hottie.
Should have that on a bumper sticker.
All right. I'll keep that in mind. Isaac Cervantes III said, I need a stainless steel gongo mug. Sometimes things get spicy at work and I can't be leaving bits of ceramic anywhere.
Maybe we got to get like some, the women's adult sippy cups, like the Yetis and the tumblers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But those are more expensive, is the thing. Corey Anderson said, Brett, what's the name of the podcast OC is on?
It's called The Quiet Part Podcast.
That's on the Discord?
No, it's on YouTube.
On YouTube. Raymond G. Stanley Jr. said, F yeah, you got Gongo merch. I'm so down.
Well, Raymond would be down to save the Gongo. Well, Raymond was in the military, so we might have done some type of humanitarian mission and nation building in the Gongo.
Yeah.
If we're being honest, like especially, back in the 60s and the 70s, we definitely would have installed some type of leadership in the Gongo.
Shane H. Wilder said, Corey, it's the quiet part with Chris Noski.
There you go.
Correct. Corey Anderson said, Mary, what is your BF's name? Brett, I honestly don't understand how you were able to pull OC. It makes no sense. Also, she will make a great mother. Wow. Backhanded.
Backhand full of knuckles with that one. Backhand full of knuckles with that compliment.
Got
Yeah.
any tips?
Send them.
Be yourself.
Send memes about Stalin. That's what I did.
And I'm not going to tell anyone that information. You will simply never know. Corey Anderson said, Shane, you're a good dude. May God bless you. We're getting a little sentimental here in the chat. I don't like it.
Yeah.
Isaac
Mary hates that shit. Like
Yeah.
I'm over here last night. I'm like
is
the
this?
magical creatures were cute and the dwarves were kind of interesting. Mary's like, "Ah, that deer was stupid.
I loved the deer.
The
though.
deer
That
was cute.
Isaac Cervantes III said, I just noticed Mary looks like she is about to go in the meat locker to fetch a fine T-bone. Haha, looking like little Nicky. I like the cut of that jacket's jib. I'm getting bullied right now. I feel bullied
should
just
stop
for
doing that.
wearing this coat. If I took this off, I would actually be freezing.
It's so not cold in here.
I know, but I would
Like I'm
still,
literally,
it would be
want
distracting
to, like,
for me.
I want to like roll my sleeves up because I'm so warm,
Yeah.
and I have a feeling the summer's gonna be worse. Like
You do that then. It's fine. High Voltage 75 said, what is your dream car? What is your dream car, Brett? If you
one
have
that is brand new that I can drive for a very, very long time and not have to worry about having
So you
to
have
replace.
with no limit on what can be spent on it, you have no preference.
More about longevity. I'm a practical person.
For me, what would it be? Maybe I don't know. I actually don't know. Maybe a Volkswagen Beetle. But that's not really like that crazy. We have a 20 from Carnell. Hey gang, I caught a trailer for an upcoming stylistic drama, Hurry Up Tomorrow, featuring Jenna Ortega, Barry Keoghan, and starring The Weeknd. Would love to hear your take and if you'd likely see it on the trailer alone.
We could look at it for Monday, perhaps.
I haven't seen that, but one recent trailer with Jenna Ortega was about Death of a Unicorn, and I want to see that.
I think what you should do is you should see it and do a review before the show, because I just don't have any desire to see it.
Yeah. I mean, I just think people care about anything that Jenna Ortega is in these days because she's Jenna Ortega, which is pretty powerful.
We'll have to wait and see. Did Wednesday season 2 come out? Yes. Does anybody care?
No, I thought last time I checked it was still like filming.
The last thing
like,
I remember
late
was
last year.
Beetlejuice, and then the movie with Martin Sheen I'm sorry, not Martin Sheen. Martin
Not Lawrence.
Martin
Freeman.
Martin Freeman. I was about to say Watson from Sherlock.
It's Freeman.
And nobody went and saw that movie.
Oh, did it make its money back?
No. I mean, it didn't cost a lot if I remember correctly. So, either way.
Easy E said, therapy culture idea that your problems are actually all in your head and that you are your own problems, and thinking yourself into delusion is just as valid as taking physical action to improve. It can mean that, but it can also mean pathologizing all the people around you.
I see it more as pathologizing everyone around you, a lot of times as a way of skirting responsibility for your own choices.
Urashima Otaru said, Hailey was on that Sigma grind. She really was. She was brainstorming.
She talked to Luke Belmar and he helped her mastermind how to
Yeah.
get Justin.
A Mega Red fan said, back hair is love, back hair is life. JJ said, is it that cold, Mary? Brett is wearing a t-shirt. Well, maybe you could ask him, wow, Brett, is it really that hot in the studio? You should be wearing a coat.
Yeah. That would have been nicer.
Shane H. Wilder said, she's giving Colin Hanks in Alone with Her. If you haven't seen it, don't. It is creepy AF and not in an entertaining way. I have not heard of that before.
I imagine Colin Hanks still has nightmares about being shoved into lockers. With a brother like
By
Chet. With a brother like Chet.
It was Chet that did it. Rusty Shackelford said, there's a lot of theories that autistic people are particularly vulnerable to trans and gender ideology, so Bella's diagnosis checks out 100%.
Makes sense.
I agree. Red Snow said, is the national anthem of Gongo episodes of PCC?
No, it's what would it be?
It's a Bob Dylan song.
I'm
isn't
gonna
it?
knock you out by. It's something by LL Cool J.
Oh,
That's what
okay.
it is. I love LL.
I'll take
Cool
your
J.
word for it.
Yeah. Mama said knock you out.
Shane H. Wilder said, one thing I've learned is that when Mary says, yeah, real slow and drawn out, it means she's a go. Wait, what? About to say something edgy and dark based, I guess. It's because maybe I'm contemplating it before I say it.
She's like, am I going to drop this one?
Yeah. Isaac S. said, the hair she didn't get on her head, they gave to her back. Yeah. They just glued it right onto her back. Pete Donovan said, those hands and that waffle iron are not real.
They are not.
No. Pop culture junkie.
But does that mean that she like grabbed a photo off of like Google?
Maybe it was like her professional chef doing it, and then she got to use the little Eggo version. Yeah. Pop culture junkie said Jeopardy music composer just rolled over in grave.
I tried to shorten it because I didn't want to do the whole freaking thing. The whole thing is freaking long when it's two people. Yeah.
Gordon Shumway said, I still stand by my show premise with Meghan Markle. She is a disaster in the kitchen. How do you screw up waffles?
And imagine,
just own it, Meghan.
And imagine how Chad, like, Harry comes, he's like, how do you screw up waffles?
I think that...
Like, he comes in eating a bowl of cereal or an apple. Like, how do you fuck up waffles?
Harry could really benefit from hanging out with David Beckham.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying.
He like keeps Victoria Beckham in check and calls her out when she's lying. Harry could learn a thing or two from him.
He could.
Hiroshima Otaru said there were no death threats. They are lying.
Could be.
I'm sure there are some. It's just a numbers game. Drewish AF of Christendom said, here in the Gongo, we rism with the tism. That's the
what did somebody
slogan.
mention? Like Shane Gillis said, like the tism just clipped her. About Bella Ramsey. He's like the tism just clipped her, just barely got her.
Yeah, yeah, it's unfortunate. Pete Donovan said, my contribution to the post Snow White therapy fund. Thank you so much. We appreciate that. We're gonna need years of therapy to recover from this. Shane H. Wilder said Raymond and Mr. Fluffykins are going to do wet work in the Gongo to save the Gonganese. Much respect.
I imagine some form of like drug interdiction.
They just had another hurricane in the Gongo, so things are getting pretty crazy over there. I have a weird dream car, 1976 Chevy pickup with a 454 engine and straight pipes. My dad drove one until 2015 when it got too expensive to maintain. Brett, I find it hard to believe that you don't have like any idea of the car you would want.
I don't have at one point in time, I wanted a Volkswagen GTI when I was younger.
But not anymore? You wouldn't?
I don't really care.
You have literally no preference?
No.
Would you get a Cybertruck? Would you?
No, I would not drive a Cybertruck.
Would you get a Tesla?
I would
Too gauche, yeah.
I would not drive it. You knew the word I was going to say. Very good. I don't know if I would even drive an electric car.
I wouldn't either. No.
I don't want to drive an electric car.
It's not the car that's going to take you anywhere in the apocalypse.
I mean, that's even one of those things that, like, I'm watching the show Jeremiah, which is about this post-apocalyptic world, and there's, like, electricity. I'm like, so who's, like, manning the power plants?
Yeah, that doesn't check out.
No. I don't have a dream car.
Right. We have one last from Evan Perry. I'll make a Save the Gongo tumbler this weekend.
There you go.
You do that.
All right. Guys, before we go, would you hit the like button on this video and subscribe to this channel, guys, if you are new here and you have not subscribed here yet already. Remember to turn the notification bell on, turn on all notifications so that you can be notified every time we upload a segment or we go live on an episode. We put out segments during the week at 8, 10, 12. Live stream is at 3 Eastern. And then we post another segment that night at 8 p.m. On the weekends, we put out segments at 8 a.m., 11 a.m., 1 p.m., and 4 p.m. Sometimes more. Sometimes there's like a 7 p.m. upload, depending on how successful we are.
We feel like surprising you.
Yeah. So, guys, we're always putting out content. Make sure to check that out. Share the stuff that you like out with your friends. Thank you guys so much for that. Mary, where can they find you?
You can send me validation on Instagram at Mary Archived, or you can send me hate on X. That is also Mary Archived.
Also, remember to pick up a mug from the show's
Gongo.
Teespring so that you can help us save the Gongo. Link in the description. Guys, if you want to follow me, Instagram and Twix at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms. We are here 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is noon Pacific Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify. If you would like to listen rather than watch, you can rate and review on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. That is another great way to help the show. And if you want to follow us on social media, we are on Twix at popculture_show, Facebook at Pop Culture Crisis, Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. Guys, we'll be back with another episode on Monday. We'll see you then. Bye, everybody.
Bye.